Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this next event. This is Meet the Board&Dice team, and as you can see, here we have almost the full team. We have one who is unable to be here for health reasons, and he will be dearly missed. But we will still talk about him because there's nothing he can do about that. But otherwise, we're going to be telling you a little bit about ourselves. We're going to tell you about what we do. And we're actually going to do this in the order, basically the order that games are made. So from the moment that we receive a design from a designer and we decide to put it onto our plan, and then the work through the development process and art and sales and marketing and logistics and all of that fun stuff. Let's. And I should also mention, if you have questions or so, just put them in the chat. Can't promise that we will get to them right away, but we'll try to get to them, if nothing else, at the end of this. But we will hand it over to Olamenio.
Hello, guys. Yes, as Rainer said, that's my name, Olamenio. Nice to meet you. So I'm a head of operations in Board&Dice, and as Rainer said, creation of board game is actually starting with planning. First, what we are doing is planning the timeline for a game. We need to know what to do when, and what are the deadlines? That's my favorite word, deadlines. And besides creating a timeline, and I'm doing that with head of dev, head of art, head of marketing and sales. Besides that, what I'm doing is also we need to create tasks for all the crew and decide who's doing what, what's the time, what's the deadline for it, and what's the what kind of activities we need to do within the task for it to be complete. Well, after I prepare tasks for whole team, we need to plan on stuff during our weekly plannings. Normally, we have our plannings on Tuesday. And after that, we are working in sprint, which is just a fancy name for 5 days, because our sprint is from Tuesday to Monday. Well, after we plan our work for each sprint, I'm trying to track all the tasks. I'm doing that daily. I need to be sure to, especially to check if tasks which are connected to each other are going smoothly, because sometimes within a week somebody needs to do something after someone. Oh my god, that sounds really complicated. But for example, if 2 people need to proofread the rules, well, first person and then the second one, it's not an easy task. I must be sure that this will happen in exact time, and stuff like that. Besides that, I'm also keeping an overview of all our major projects. I need to be sure that we didn't forget about anything, and if something happening, I need to do a little bit of a crisis management. Fortunately, I really didn't need to do anything like that in a very long time, so hooray for us. I'm also facilitating a little bit communication between departments if it's needed. I'm checking outcomes of the task. I'm doing, maybe not me, but I'm a part of dailies when we are also tracking things we are doing in different departments. I'm also keeping our handbook. It's like the Bible within the company, updated, and which is not only my responsibility, but I'm also doing that. I'm reviewing and update objectives for our team. So, a lot of different stuff to just be sure that everything will go smoothly and without any problems, and especially on time. And I'm really also responsible for that at the end of the day, everybody not only done their work, but they're also still alive and hopefully happy. And that's how my talk looks like. Nothing, it's easy. So Rainer,
Yes.
back to you. This
Yeah,
is the next
so-
person.
So next, thank you by the way, Ola. We internally, I think we call you the glue of the company because everything that you
Aw.
do affects everything else, and making sure that all the different departments work well together. Next, we're going to talk to development, and to introduce our development team is our head of development.
Hello, my name is Błażej, or Błażej Kubacki if your tongue didn't snap in half by just, pronouncing my first name. I am indeed the head of development, which means that I helm a department that does this magical thing people rarely see, which is where we take a game which is a game where the design is finished from the designer, and we take it right up to what you will be playing when it comes to mechanisms. So we do all of those fascinating and magical things, like making sure that something should cost 2 resources instead of 3 resources. So these are the decisions we make. But in a general scheme of things, our part is basically to make sure that the game is smooth, that the decisions are interesting, and that every single time the game is satisfactory to you in terms of mechanisms, decisions, ideas that stand behind the deepest part of the game, I should call it. Our work also focuses on testing games. So basically, we are the people who run the tests for our games and take opinions of testers, often your opinions, into consideration during the process of development. And it is also our duty to make sure that the game has the rules prepared. I'm actually the person who's responsible for primary writing on the rules, and then this complex chain of people reading and proofing and rules being proofed and read outside is something that we do, but it is, of course, managed by the person known as the glue to our company, so Ola. In short, in summation, we are the people who basically take a game that is designed and has great ideas and has cool mechanisms and make sure that everything, every single cog works together in perfect harmony so that you have fun playing the game in the end.
Thank you. Yeah, and that of course involves also both multiple members of our team. I think everyone is at one point or another at least a part-time member of the development team.
Oh, yes, definitely, because, having many voices and many experiences to the game, many ideas is always great because that allows us to make a game that is deeper and that more easily speaks to multiple styles of play and multiple ideas on how to play a game.
And then there's some poor man who has to try to interpret what dev means so that gamers can understand what's supposed to be going on, right? Or what do you say, Kuba?
Yes. Hi, I'm Kuba, or Jacob, if you prefer. And I am kind of responsible for arts in Board&Dice, which basically means that we do start our work with internal brief we get from development, and then we do our research on it, and we come up with ideas. We look for internal and external artists and graphic designers and consultants that can help us to do, to make the game look the way it's supposed to look. Then we do a lot of work. We do a lot of creating, and then a lot of corrections, and then we have to finalize the game, and then we need to get them proofed and proofread and proof checked and consulted again, especially if we're doing a game from outside our culture circle. And then we of course prepare the final files. And this sounds very smooth and easy, and it probably is for at least our team members. One of them is Beshek, who could not take part in this chat. But the other shining star of our art department is Zuza, who's actually here, and I would love to let her talk now.
Hi, my name is Zuza, as Kuba already said, and I'm a graphic designer in Board&Dice. I do a couple of things.
It looks like we might have
which
lost
of course
connection with Zuza, unfortunately.
I'm here.
No, I can hear Zuza very well, Błażej.
Yes,
Everything
good.
is fine.
Yes, it's fine.
I'm sorry.
Okay, then I continue. So I do a couple of things in the company. First of them is of course designing graphic design for the games and DTP of it, which means that I'm a person who try to like make all those mechanisms and things that should happen in the game into the icons and very like cool looking design. So we create all the layouts like with Zbyszek, we create how the boards should look like, and of course how all the icons should look like, and to like make our games simply look beautiful. Then one of the things that I do is also DDP, so it's like gathering together all the information for the game when the design is ready. So if we need to do rule books in a way that they're readable and of course beautiful, and all the cards, all the elements of the game need just to have all the elements in correct places, and this is more technical side of the job. And also I do some other stuff like also while creating the design of those games, I cooperate with some cultural consultants, as Kuba said, and with external artists, which create, for example, some more complicated illustrations for the backgrounds of the games and for the covers. And the other side of my job is doing some marketing creations. So I cooperate with the marketing department and all the stuff, like among almost all the stuff that you can see in our social media, in our mystery boxes, can be created with my participation. Yeah, and this is what I create here in Board&Dice.
Yeah, especially if you're not following us on social media, you definitely should. If nothing else, just to enjoy the beautiful arts of Zuza, the stickers and the all sorts of other illustrations and such. It's especially if there's ever a time that you see something and you think, oh, that looks awesome, then we have Zuza to thank for that.
Thank you, Rainer.
Now we are going to go to probably what's been the most difficult department in the past year and a half, which is dealing with production and logistics. Or what do you think, Andre?
Well, I can only agree, unfortunately. So, hi, first of all, hello, everybody. My name is Andre. I am dealing, among other stuff, with production logistics and fulfillment. So if you backed one of our games and you wrote messages, you probably have heard either from me or from Błażej. But before we get to deliver your games, we need to physically manufacture them. So I am, in a way, the buffer between the arts team, who needs to provide our files, and the marketing and the sales team, who need, well, games to market and sell. And I take care of the process in between that, which means that a long time ago, my job was to identify factories in Europe or in China where we can produce our games. We've done that in the meantime. We have a stable partner for manufacturing. We work with the same company over and over again, which makes my job a little bit easier than it used to be 7 years ago. Nevertheless, for every game, there is a whole process which involves requesting quotes and then, of course, adjusting our games so that we can actually afford to publish them and to make sure that everybody who likes our games can also afford to purchase them in the end. For that, I have to be the person who says no a lot, especially to the dev team and to the art team. Arts and marketing and dev, they want to make the game flamboyant and amazing and everything. And I need to say, a lot of the time, well, we can't afford that. Nevertheless, I'm doing my absolute best to make sure that we have games which are both beautiful and have great quality components. I got to learn this from scratch throughout the years. So Now I speak production language, but I'm not gonna go into these sort of details. I deal a lot with stuff like punch boards and box and cards and miniatures and all kinds of weird names for files. And then after the games are being produced in China, because we make all our games right now in China, I'm the person who makes sure that they get to their final destinations. So final destination, since we publish games together with a lot of partners, and I'm not going to get into Irek's part here a lot, but we've been managing together partners from all over the world. So everybody has to pick up their games either from the factory or we need to ship it to them. For the past year and a half, the market for logistics has been insane. And I know a lot of people have not heard about it and should not care about it. Everybody feels it to some extent because of the current inflation rate in the world. Okay, enough with the creepy stuff. Anyway, the job is to bring games with containers by sea from a port in China to various ports around the world, make sure that our distributors and partners get their games. And therefore, I speak logistics, which is a whole new language, which I'm not going to get into. And finally, for those of you who basically support our Kickstarters, I'm also facilitating the fulfillment center getting games into your hands. And this kind of summarizes it. So back to you, Rainer.
Yeah, and if you haven't checked them out, a lot of publishers have talked about the logistics issues and such, but if you haven't checked out the blog entries on Board Game Geek, you should definitely go and do so. There are some really interesting posts on there about why logistics have been a problem, to what extent, how that affects pricing, and so forth. So really interesting reading, or really boring reading, depending on your state of mind at that moment.
And not at all sad.
What?
Not at all sad.
Right. No, but it's interesting because it adds a background, right, to some of those facts and figures that we've heard. Well, Irek.
Hello. So my name is Irek, and I am responsible for sales, customer service, and the huge support of the admin process, which is right now in the hands of Sonia, but this I will tell in a minute. And as Andrei said, logistics and production is pretty much related with my cup of tea in this company, because I am responsible for delivering all our products to our business partners. So I manage the contacts with our distributors, with our friendly local gaming stores, with all of our international partners who sell our games in English, so our main flow of the games. And of course, I am also responsible for managing and supporting our localization partners. So all the companies all over the world who publish our games in different language. So my role here is to try to cover as many markets as possible to give you an opportunity to play our games in the most comfortable language you can actually get. So in your local language, or at least in English, which is actually what I do. My history is quite similar to Andrei's, because I needed to learn everything about the sales from the scratch since I would say 2013 right now. And I can remember a joke some time ago. It was 2012, probably, when my old boss in IT company when I was working, he told me some time ago that I would be a good material for a salesman. And I have told him that if he will ever put me in the sales department, I will quit my job. So this was actually a true story some time ago. And now, look, I am selling games. So it's pretty hilarious in the end. And of course, I'm also responsible for the customer service. So every time when you have some issues with your copy of the games, because issue happens, and this happens to any publisher, and the way we solve that is also very important. So my role is to systemize the process. And of course, you are speaking with our crew members like Damian or Sonia. Sometimes I am responding the tickets, or I am available to respond about our web store. So yeah, this is it. And then we go also to administration, which was recently in my hands as well. But right now we have a huge and very important support from Sonia, who is our new crew member. Actually, now I can say that maybe not so new because we are working 3 months together, and the whole administration is in her hands. So Sonia, the floor is yours.
Hello, lovely people. My name is Sonia, and as Irek said, I am an admin specialist in Board&Dice. My job is not directly related to game designing and publishing. I would say it's more like background work, but without it, the company wouldn't run smoothly. I have to keep track of paperwork, prepare documents, create the contracts, making payments on time, work with other departments, and really much more. So I guess you will not be very impressed with my work because, as I said, it's not game designing, but this is the work that has to be done in every company. So yeah, thank you.
I always like to say that, well, administration is a kind of city infrastructure in the company, right? So we have the streets, you have the signs, and thanks to that, the company and the people in the company know how to move or where to go or how to reach the different address. So it's super important part of the company. And yeah, this is it. This is what we do here. So Rainer, this goes back to you.
Yeah, and in fact, I was thinking about what you said as well. Sometimes those invisible parts, without them, things would fall apart. Like if something as simple as an invoice doesn't get paid on time, well, then we might not get the games produced or shipped or whatever it might be. So,
or we stuck in customs.
Yes, all those fun things. Then we are, Andre already hinted that there are some people in the company that like to spend as much money as possible. So let's talk to one of them, Philip.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Filip, and together with this lovely person, Ola Skłodowska, we are running a two-headed monster, which is marketing. So we do two amazing things in our company. First of all, the first thing, we try to make everything so you will know about every upcoming game. So we are trying to be everywhere and shout out about our new games, basically from the fridge window. You can call us stalkers if you want to. So yeah, and basically from social media communication to newsletters, you will find me and Ola talking to you regarding the time of the day, because we used to run basically over the clock and try to be in touch with you on in every possible space we are present. And the second thing which we are doing in our company, we mess around with basically every department, because you may not know that, but basically from the very beginning of the new game in our company, marketing is around. So even if we are talking about the moment when the designer is pitching the game and send the game to us for assessment, someone from the marketing is there to play it, to test it with the dev team, so we can say if this is something that we can marketing, because we like the dev team is looking if the game is awesome and if it works great and if the game needs 3 wood or 2 wood. what marketing is doing and what we are looking when someone pitching a game to us is if this game will be still interesting, or maybe not the game, but mechanism inside the game will be still interesting in after upcoming 2 years. Because basically, when someone is pitching the game, most probably we will release the game in 2 years from that moment. If we all say, like, sales department, marketing, dev team say yes to the game will be published in 2 years from now on. So our job from the marketing is to be sure that the magic behind the game will still be magic after 2 years, because as we know, the game mechanism is aging as a dice in Teotihuacan, and we need to know if they will not flip to 6 too close, too short. But enough me saying. Ola, jump on the stage, please.
We can't hear you, Ola.
So yes, I think we have some difficulties with hearing you, Ola. Basically, maybe it's because she is running all the communication regarding this event, and she tried to respond to people post about the events, upcoming events. So maybe it's just because she wants to be on spot if someone is asking questions. So maybe let's talk about even more marketing. For example, how we are marketing. Oh yes.
Oh.
Yes, thank you. Because I wanted to
Yes,
try
great.
talking jokes.
Okay, Philip, thank you for just your blah 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 blah. It was a
talking
great blah
jokes.
blah.
That will be very
Rainer,
good.
please mute this gentleman.
Okay, now it's my turn, Philip. Okay. So well, it is not much that I can tell you that Philip didn't spoil, but I will just tell you about my part in the marketing. So I am responsible for all the content on social media. So if you're seeing something, probably I have created that with, of course, Zuza's help with graphic. If you're commenting and somebody from Board&Dice is answering, that's probably also me. So all these stupid GIFs and so on, that's me. I am also responsible for the newsletter. So if you feel that you have too much spam from Board&Dice, that's my fault, and I'm sorry. What more? Philip didn't mention the mystery boxes that I create, and I think that's my favorite part of the job, creating the creative packages for the reviewers that you may see on their channels promoting our new games. And what more? Well, I was like a tiny bit responsible for that event. So I hope you will join the demos and watch the streams, because if not, that will be my fault as well. Thank you.
So, if I may add something, since we're still a quite small publishing house, and you can see basically almost all of us here right now tonight, you also need to know that each of us gets to wear many hats. Irek already mentioned that he's dealing with sales at the same time with customer support, and until not long ago with the whole of the administration of the company. The marketing team is involved in testing games, and the art team are also active in playing games and providing graphics for the marketing. And I, for example, deal a lot with financial planning. And one of the people in our company who also wears many hats is Rainer, our host tonight. So Rainer, maybe you can say a few words about what is your part of the job.
Sure. and I've talked sometimes. I consider myself fortunate with what I do because in a lot of companies, especially when you do have a separation of departments and so forth, sometimes, for example, our arts team might be working on the next game, right? Whereas I am still fortunate enough to be able to work on each game from the very beginning when we see it and we work on it in development. I get to be there, work with reviewers and media partners after the game has been published, and I also get to see all of you at conventions. I often get to take praise home from you when you come up to us at a convention or you talk about how wonderful the game is or all those experiences. I'm very fortunate that I get to be on the forefront of that, or like these streams, and be able to engage with the community as well as seeing all the amazing work that goes on behind the scenes. So that's been a fun part for me in my job, to be able to basically... Did we drop someone? Okay, no. To be able to both work with everyone here. A lot of my time is spent on development, for example, to help either edit or proofread rule books. A lot of time is spent on marketing to make sure that we have good relationships with reviewers and media partners, and also on the side of sales, and be an assistant there when it comes to things. Often there are things that require two eyes, just because there are things to happen. We had the other day, we had just a simple problem of customer support tickets that wouldn't work. We couldn't see them in the back end. People could create tickets and respond to them, but we couldn't see any of that. So yeah, and like Andre said, we all get to wear many different hats. Everyone is at some point part of the development team, just to give valuable input. Like Philip already mentioned, marketing wants to see if a game can be marketed. Well, sales wants to see if this is a game that can be sold, and if localization partners will be interested in that.
This is actually a very important thing, because the processes are not going pretty one after another, right? They overlap all over the time. So we cooperate pretty fluently, although even we are a quite small company, we still focus on our part of the cake in a way that I, for example, I am focused on totally different games than Kuba at this stage, because I am selling the current releases. Kuba right now is working on the games which you will see in 2023. So this is a completely different stuff. Błażej is right now working on the games which are without the release date yet, or they are for 2024 because they are so early in the development stage. And still we are working together on them because, for example, pretty soon we have also the dev crunch, when we also from sales and from marketing will be playing these games to check them out. And in this hard environment, Ola also has a pretty hard job, because she needs to deal with all of us and deliver us pretty up-to-date information. So this is very important.
Yes, we would like to say that creating a game basically from A to Z, from beginning to end, is a line, but in fact, it's a bit more like a spider web.
Oh, that's true.
Or a seal web.
That's also possible.
Yes.
There was a great question from the chat earlier, and this goes for all of us. So basically the question was, did any of you join Board&Dice because of your job, basically the skills that you have that were sought after, or did you specifically join because it was a board game publishing job?
So with me, it was easy because it was both. Basically, I've joined the company a long time ago, before the merger between NSKN and Board&Dice. And Andrei and Agnieszka were already working with Błażej. They wanted somebody to help them with marketing, and I came from the marketing field. But I might have once or 17 times told them that I would be available if they needed me in their board game publishing company.
Yeah, I'm like Kuba. I'm a legacy employee that comes still from the times of NSKN, and I think that my profession, what I was doing before that, was not directly connected to boards or dice, but I was, apart from that, running on the side a website about board games. Now the website does not exist anymore, but at that time, so I was also kind of interested on a, let's say, semi-professional level, and one thing led to another. So I don't think, maybe the one thing that that made it easier is that my main profession at the time was working on translations and interpretations. So, maybe that helped a little bit.
Basically, when it comes to me and Iraq, we did, in the first place, we didn't want to run a board game company. We wanted to set up a brewery.
Yep, that's true.
Yes, and because we wasn't able legally in the place when we wanted to set the brewery, we decided to do a board game about brewing beer. And yeah, this is how Board&Dice happened.
From our perspective, yes. And actually, the funny story is behind that is that we are completely from different businesses. We are completely from different part of the universe, I would say. I was dealing with the web developers and with the programming some time ago. Philip was teaching at school, and actually then he was also a consultant in the programmer company. So completely different story. As I told, I was completely against me working in sales. So it's a funny way.
I think what binds us all together and what makes us be successful and friends with each other is that to some extent, all of us have a passion for board games, and we simply like what we do because our backgrounds are as different as they get. Our experiences are as different as they get. But the part which brought us together was that we like board games and we like what we're doing. And drawing the line, this is what makes board game publishing possible because it's still a niche industry. And I think that only people with a specific passion for board games find the strength to learn the whole process, because at this point I can say that almost all of us know almost everything about what it means to publish a game. And this is because we like it, we are interested in it, and we want to bring it as close as possible to perfection.
And because it takes the whole team to do it.
Of course.
It's one of those things. Yeah, we're still comparatively small as a company, but everyone has an important role to fill, and yeah, it definitely we definitely miss people when there are things that are happening. There's someone who's out with illness or so forth. So it's and it's nice too, right? It's nice that we depend on each other and that we have a good team that we really learn to appreciate the different strengths that everyone brings. Someone else asked another question, and this, I guess, is primarily for you, Bwajay. The question is, what percentage of games that are pitched to us are actually okayed for development?
7.75%. And
that's a developer answer. I mean, they deal with numbers, right? He knows his stuff.
No, actually, the actual number is quite close to this. The actual number, I think we went through it lately. with Andre, and it turns out that about 8% is in fact the number of the games that come through us that we pick up. This is not for the reason of those games not being good enough. Quite often we are pitched games that, while interesting and while definitely with a certain potential, simply do not fit what we do here at Board&Dice, because, to be honest, you don't know us for 4 to 12 people party games. You know us for something slightly different. So sometimes we will reject a game mostly based on the fact that this is not what our fans would expect from us. But I'd say that that the numbers I gave you in the beginning are pretty accurate.
Yeah, and even a lot of the games that do get pitched to us that are close to what we would publish, right? Sometimes there are even good games that have to be turned down, or there are games that we initially consider and then later it turns out that it's still not a good fit, right? So
yeah, exactly. Basically, also the games which we decided to reject, some of them we know that are going to be published or were published by someone else. So as Błażej and you said, the thing is that when we are rejecting the game, it's not that the game is unpublishable.
Sometimes it's just because it says
even more
Philip on the
complicated,
cover.
Sometimes we are sharing the games with our partners. Tomorrow we will have a panel with our localization partners, and the games which we see as very good games, but which won't fit to our customers and our fans, we are deciding to even send them sometimes to our publishing partners and publishing friends from other companies who has slightly different portfolio and are able to pick the game.
What we're essentially saying is that we do get a lot of submissions, and dear designers, we love you and we love your submissions. Please keep them coming. And if we reject your game, we usually tell you why. And quite often it is not because it is a bad game. Sometimes the circumstances just don't work out.
That is very true. Well, thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you for all of you that have been watching. As you can see,
Ryder. Wait a second.
Wait, do you have one of your famous presentations to show us?
No. Like, I want to
okay. You guys are missing out. Every time that it's someone's birthday, Philip puts together the worst, objectively speaking, but yet best Photoshop images. One of these days, some of these need to make it onto some more public. They need to be enjoyed by people.
Yeah, thank God we
imagine.
have
I think because
they are managing our arts.
I'm being head of arts here. I just want to try to explain you what kind of pieces of art Philip is bringing to us. It's something between Van Gogh and Picasso drawn by a blind fox. That would be probably something like this.
Exactly. But the reason I stopped you, Rainer, was basically you skipped one of the question from the audience, and because someone asked that we should get the Mario IP, so I can finally have a Mario game in our company.
I think I responded in the chat that we don't need to give you any ideas. So
Yes, please don't.
So the thing is that Philip basically wakes up with 3 ideas, and by the time he's eating his lunch, they've already, just blown like popcorn into 12 new ones. So we have to actually just hammer him down rather than encourage him to come up with new ones. So, dear friends of Board&Dice, please don't encourage him.
one last question, and this is specifically. I think this is true especially from an external observer's point of view, but I think you would agree that this is true from your point of view as well, that the Polish board game community has grown a lot over the last couple of years, and that it continues to grow. Sometimes it's both small publishers, but also large publishers, a lot of designers from Poland, a lot of talented artists and so forth. Do you first of all, do you agree with this? And also, do you feel that this is also then helping to have the games noticed? And
so maybe I can take this as an outsider because I'm one of the few people in Board&Dice who is not Polish, even though I've been living here for the past, I don't even want to say how many years. One of the reasons Board&Dice is a Polish company because, we are a very international team and we publish games in English. But one of the reasons we are now in Poland, and this whole thing is possible, is because the Polish board gaming community is developing very fast, and there are a lot of people here making games, designing, publishing, reviewing, and so on. This is how we could have so many people in our team, and this is one of the reasons why there are so many publishers now, because the board gaming community in Poland is probably, if not the most active, in the worst case scenario, second most active in Europe. And it's one of those places where it's easy to find people who have a passion for board games and want to work in a publishing house. So I am in full agreement with that statement.
I would like to add actually something to this, because the question also says a little bit about some talented people here. So what Andrzej said, we definitely have a lot of people who have passion for board games, but we also have pretty talented designers. And I think, hey, we mentioned that Filip is a person who wakes up with 3 ideas for the game. The most problematic thing about this is that usually at least 2 of these ideas are really good. So we have some talented designers here in our midst. One of them is here with us today, and it's not indeed very difficult to find people who both have passion and have talent. So this is indeed helpful.
And actually, I think also from the professional side, it's also changing a lot. I can remember in 2013, we were a group of people who has an idea about how to create board games. And right now we all create quite successful companies because if you will see Lucky Duck, if you will see Portal Games, if you will see Rebel, if you will see Grana, these all are companies from Poland who are growing pretty fast right now and are managed by Poles or people who are living in Poland, or even like us, they are pretty international. But still, I think it helps a lot even to find a new employees or new people to join our crews if you have professionals all around your company. It's easier, it's simpler to grow with and to manage this growth.
Yeah. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you to both those of you that have been here watching. Thank you for all the questions, and thank you to, I guess, all of us from Board&Dice. It's been a pleasure to be here and be able to talk to you about some of the things that we do, give you a glimpse into the things that are going on behind the scenes. There's a lot of work that goes into board game publishing. It's a long process. Ola was talking earlier about basically the plans. We work on a multi-year plan that involves everything from games that are ready to be sold now to games that may or may not ever be published, and it's a long process, and it takes the whole team to work together. Thank you to all of you. Thank you to those that have been watching. we have as much as we were trying to mute Philip, we're going to give him a whole segment to himself. If you wait for a few minutes, we're going to get to hear from this mysterious designer. He's going to talk about some games that he's designed and has been working on. So stay tuned for that, and thank you again, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.